What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and we got a major message that was just sent out here from the Fed and Congress, and I'm going to let you hear it directly, and we'll go over what this means here for millions of Americans, and this is going to be for all 50 states, the entire country here, as it's absolutely crazy here, and I'll show you the exact footage here. We're actually a part of it because it was part of a really long meeting here between Congress and the Fed, and it sent the markets going absolutely crazy here, the stock market and everything like this here. So you guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. So yeah, it's absolutely wild. And I'd like to say thanks to DebtBox. DebtBox is a new decentralized, eco-friendly blockchain technology project making it easier for you to get started with crypto miners. Blockchain and cryptocurrencies can be confusing and overwhelming, but Debt has simplified everything for you. No fake meme coins here. Debt has real projects tied to real assets brought to you in the comfort of your own home. And Debt is supported by tangible physical commodity production, such as agriculture, aluminum, crude oil, gold, natural gas, and satellite technology services. Plus, you can easily swap Debt ecosystem tokens in the mobile app, and you can exchange Debt tokens with no transfer fees. So check out the DebtBox project today by clicking on the link down below in the pinned comment or the description down below right now. Okay, so here's what happened between the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, and Congress. Multiple members of Congress. You'll see Democratic Congresswoman Elizabeth Warren here asking him some tough questions, and you'll come to a realization here of what they're talking about. Take a listen here.
So the Fed has raised interest rates 8 times over the last year in what has been the most extreme rate hike cycle in 40 years. The Fed's goal is to slow inflation, and your tool, raising interest rates, is designed to slow the economy and throw people out of work. So far, you haven't tipped the economy into recession, but you haven't brought inflation entirely under control either. And maybe the reason for that is that other things are also keeping prices high, things you can't fix with high interest rates, things like price gouging and supply chain kinks and a war in Ukraine. But you are determined to continue to raise interest rates, so I want to take a look at where you're headed. In December, the Fed released its projections on the state of the economy under your monetary policy plan. According to the Fed's own report, if you continue raising interest rates as you plan, unemployment will be 4.6% by the end of the year, more than a full point higher than it is today. Chair Powell, if you hit your projections, do you know how many people who are currently working, going about their lives, will lose their jobs?
I don't have that number in front of me. I will say it's not an intended consequence.
But it is, and it's in your report, and that would be about 2 million people who would lose their jobs, people who are working right now, making their mortgages. So, Chair Powell, if you could speak directly to the 2 million hardworking people who have decent jobs today, who you're planning to get fired over the next year, what would you say to them? How would you explain your view that they need to lose their jobs?
I would explain to people more broadly that inflation is extremely high, and it's hurting the working people of this country badly. All of them, not just 2 million of them, but all of them are suffering under high inflation, and we are taking the only measures we have to bring inflation down.
And putting 2 million people out of work is just part of the cost, and they just have to bear it?
Well, will working people be better off if we just walk away from our jobs and inflation remains 5-6%?
Let me ask you about what happens if you do this. Since the end of World War II, there have been 12 times in which the unemployment rate has increased by 1 percentage point within 1 year, exactly what you're aiming to do right now. How many of those times did the U.S. economy avoid falling into a recession?
You know, it's not as black and white as very,
Just
very
looking
infrequent.
at the numbers, it actually is pretty black
Alan
and white.
Blinder's written a book on this. And,
there have been 12 times that we've seen a 1-point increase in the unemployment rate in a year. That's exactly what your Fed report has put out as the projection and the plan based on how you're going to keep raising these interest rates. How many times did the economy fail to fall into a recession after doing that? Out of 12 times.
I think the number is 0.
I think the number is 0. That's exactly right. So then the question becomes, we've got 2 million people out of work. Can you stop it at 2 million people? History suggests that the Fed has a terrible track record of containing modest increases in the unemployment rate. Once the economy starts shedding jobs, it's kind of like a runaway train. It is really hard to stop. In fact, in 11 out of the 12 times that the unemployment rate increased by a full percentage point within 1 year, unemployment went on to rise another full percentage point on top of that. If that's what happens this time, we'd be looking at least 3.5 million people who would lose their jobs. So, Chair Powell, if you reach your goal and 2 million people get laid off by the end of this year, and then, just like in 11 out of 12 times that unemployment has risen by a point in a single year, it keeps on rising. And then we've got 2.5 million people out of work. We've got 3 million people who get laid off. We've got 3.5 million people who get laid off. What's your plan?
Well, right now the unemployment rate is 3.4%, which is the lowest in 54 years. And we actually don't think that we need to see a sharp or enormous increase in unemployment to get inflation under control.
I'm looking at your projections. Do you call laying off 2 million people this year not a sharp increase in unemployment?
I would say 4.5%.
Explain that to the 2 million families who are going to be out of work.
We're not targeting any of that. But I would say even 4.5% unemployment is well better than most of the time for the last 75 years.
In other words, you don't have a plan to stop a runaway train if it occurs. Chair Powell, you are gambling with people's lives, and there's a pile of data showing that price gouging and supply chain kinks and the war in Ukraine are driving up prices. You cling to the idea that there's only one solution: lay off millions of workers. We need a Fed that will fight for families. And if you're not going to lead that charge, we need someone at the Fed who will.
Yeah, so let me know your thoughts here on this. The Fed, Jerome Powell being grilled by Congress. Should they keep raising interest rates to bring down inflation? What are your thoughts? Because this will make millions of people lose their jobs, because what happens is, as interest rates go up, it squeezes small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses, and because they can't finance, they can't refinance, and they can't get access to capital as easy, and it makes it more expensive for them. And when that happens, it puts a money crunch on them. They can't borrow money, they can't finance, et cetera, et cetera. And when they can't get access to money as easily, they end up laying off people. And you guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. Also, it's interesting because she mentioned how inflation is a cause of all these different things. And you guys can take a look here at this. This is the inflation rate by country. So we're at 6.4% here in the United States. In the month before that, we were at 6.5%. Here's a list of all the countries in the world that report on this that are higher than us. So take a look at this. Here's India with like 1.4 billion people with a B at 6.5%. And just take a look at this. We'll see some of these big name countries here. United Arab Emirates, South Africa at 6.9%, Greece at 7%, New Zealand 7.2%. Just looking kind of some of the big name countries. Denmark 7.7%, Ireland 7.8%, the entire country of Australia 7.8%. Mexico, 7.91% still. Actually going up. It actually went up from the month before, almost 8%. Our neighbor to the south, almost 8%. Netherlands at 8%. Jamaica, 8.1%. Portugal, 8.2%. Finland, 8.4%. The Philippines, 8.6% inflation. Peru, 8.65%. Trinidad and Tobago and Germany, both at 8.7%. Remember that Germany is Europe's largest economy country-wise, 8.7%. And it's staying there. It was the same the month before. And that's February's data, so that's like the newest data there. Obviously, March, not even, over. Yeah. Kenya, Italy, 9.2%. Cayman Islands, 9.2%. Yikes. Look at that. Italy, the month before, was 10%. I mean, the U.S. didn't even get up that high. I mean, yeah, you guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. I know everybody wants to blame inflation on, in the U.S. on this, that, or the other, whatever. But I mean, look at this. Inflation is everywhere around the world. I mean, take a look at this. The average of the European Union, 10% right now. Right now, European Kingdom or the United Kingdom, 10.1%. Iceland, 10.2%. Right now, it's going up. It was 9.9% the month before. I mean, take a look at this, guys. This is Europe right now. 10% inflation right now. Actually, in some cases, getting worse as we speak. Yeah, Sweden, 11.7%. Russia, 11.8%. Yikes. Belarus, 12%. Whew. Barbados, 12.3%. I mean, just some of these countries are just unbelievable. Serbia, 15%. Bulgaria, 16%. Poland, 17%. Czech Republic, 17%. Lithuania, 18%. Egypt, 25%. Hungary, 25%. Ukraine, 26%. God bless them. Pakistan, 31% inflation. Cuba, 42% inflation. Iran, 46% inflation. That means that their money is worth about half as much as it was a year ago. Turkey, 55% inflation. That means their money is worth 55% less than it was a year ago. And the worst countries, Lebanon, Syria, Venezuela, Argentina, Zimbabwe, all about 100% or more, their money is worth less than it was the year before. Yikes. Now, the question here is, you heard the argument there. We've already raised interest rates 8 times. They're going to be doing it more. Should they be raising interest rates even more? And how much? Should they continue doing this, putting people out of jobs? And you guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. I'll keep you up to date here. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So if you appreciate these videos, don't forget to hit the like button for us right now. And if you haven't yet, make sure to click the subscribe button, then the bell icon so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our economy and everything on a daily basis. Also, right now, if you haven't, click the link down below in the description of this video or the pinned comment to check out the Debt Box. Very interesting concept. Yeah, so click on that link right now. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.